science.
Suffice it that the blood of 1,000 men and women was spilled in these walls. Limbs twisted and broken. Eyes gouged from bloody sockets. Flesh burned black.
Please. No way to dead. In death, there are no accidents, no coincidences, no mishaps, and no escapes. What you have to realize is that we're all just a mouse that a cat has by the tail.
The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-public number.
Warning, the following show contains conservative posturing, radical Christian ideas, and may offend pagans, Wiccans, Islamic fundamentalists, and other unenlightened individuals. Callers and guests may be subjected to brash and offensive comments by the hosts and any other type of bullying tactics available. But that's okay. We know why you're here.
This concludes this test of the emergency broadcast system.
Tonight is Monday, July 16th, 2007.
Probably a bad idea.
What's up?
Man, did I
Talking
cut
about-
that close.
Talking about Ronnie Millsap.
Yeah, I wasn't, but
Chuck,
you
put the pipe down when you're listening to Ronnie. It's just not good.
Smoky
Tonight.
Mountain Rain. I don't know.
Falling.
Is it Smoky Mountain Rain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Falling. I don't
He
remember
had that
He
feathered...
lives here in North Carolina, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
I think, he's blind, but he lives here in North Carolina.
I want to
thought
say
he
he's a
did.
North Carolina boy,
I like
actually.
Ronnie Millsap, actually. I do.
I enjoyed his feathered hair and red jacket that he always wore back in the 70s.
Well, he's blind, man. You can't fault him for that.
Well, I think it looked good.
It didn't look good. Well, it was the 80s. No one looked good in the 80s, though.
Oh, well.
Except for the women. The women look good in the 80s. I wish that would come back. You know,
They wore
we've talked about this before, the leather mini skirts and the real tight fitting
Well,
things.
not necessarily, because they also wore leg warmers in that flash dance craze.
That's true.
You
That
know
was
what I mean?
awful. That was horrible.
Micro minis, D? Well, I'm not sure about that, but
All right, cut the music. Here's what's new. What do you guys think about this? What do you think about the Pope? Chuck, you heard about this? I'm sure you have.
No, I haven't heard any news about the Pope lately, man.
Trent, you heard about this? The True
Yeah.
Church thing? Okay.
Yeah.
The Pope basically comes out and says that if you are not a part of the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church is the only true church, then you're not a part of a real church, or your church is something like flawed or something like that. Is that what he said, Trent?
or mistaken
or flawed.
theologically incorrect.
I'm not getting the correct. We're not getting the correct wording here, but we're kind of. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's honestly, I think the wheels that spin within the Vatican probably were, because John Paul II.
We're
for a pope-
paraphrasing. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry.
Yeah. John Paul II for.
Oh, there goes the cell phone. Don't you love it when that happens?
Anyway, John Paul
Especially during a
II
show.
was a pretty modern sort of a dude, as far as popes are concerned. You know what I mean? He had some pretty key issues he was very staunchly against, but I mean, he was more accessible to people somehow, and I think somehow that grinded the gears a lot. The cardinals and the political wheelers and dealers inside the Vatican, they really probably despised that.
Well, yeah.
So
I'm sure you're
they
right.
wanted to get somebody who was very reactionary.
In Vatican II, that happened during his reign, if I'm not mistaken, 60.
No,
I guess he didn't come into
John
the
Paul
70s
was,
then.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well,
early 70s, I think.
Well, Vatican II, they're basically kicking out a lot of those provisions because now from what I understand, and call me on this if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, now the Mass is going back to Latin.
That's smart.
Yeah. So it's a lot of this stuff is kind of like, clashing with Vatican II.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about church tradition, and I think, the church has to be based on traditions, obviously. But, there's certain elements that could probably be updated that to make the church more accessible to people, and like I said, this Benedict guy, he's the same guy also, for what it's worth, that really ticked off the Muslims a couple of months ago. I think he was in.
No, I don't mind that.
He was in Istanbul, and it doesn't seem like he's very diplomatic, and it doesn't seem like he's very.
Wait till they hear
accessible.
our last show. We're going to take them off again.
Well, yeah. Actually, I heard him tonight on Savage. Paul Williams.
Oh, really?
Yep, he was on Michael Savage. He still is on
Michael Savage. Well,
right
thanks
now.
for telling everybody so they can turn us off and turn him
Oh,
on.
crap.
That's great.
He may be only on there for another 5-10 minutes.
Usually Savage doesn't keep people on the whole show. It's
No.
just, a little bit. But yeah, that's Paul Williams, great show. If you guys
That's
missed it,
pretty
you can
crazy.
check it out from a couple weeks ago. It's up. Everything's up except for last week's interview. I've been doing my work here.
Yeah.
Been getting her done.
Oh, don't say that.
Yeah, pulling it out and chopping it up, or
yeah,
however
that's
as
better.
you say it, Trent. Yeah,
Taking it out and chopping it up.
taking it out and chopping it up. What? Oh, the chat room, yeah. If you guys are listening tonight and you want to get in the chat room, we totally reformatted. We went with OmniSoundRadio1.net. You can get there by going to www.omnisoundradio1.net/flash chat, and you can register, or you can just go to omnisoundradio1.net, and it'll take you there. Or you can click on the chat button, which is the easiest alternative. Click on the chat button on at the front page, worldoftheunexplained.com, and it'll bring you right into our chat room. All you have to do is register again. And so I don't see a lot of people in there, probably because
They don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. But just click on register, and you can get in that way. But anyway, tonight we've got with us Jason Offutt, the author of Haunted Missouri. I guess Dee's going to get him on the phone. So that's we've had him on twice, and only so it never went up to podcast. So for those of you hearing him again, you'll remember how much fun we had last time with him.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He's a fun guy. Yeah, he is. And he's a conservative, and he teaches in university setting. Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really a damn shame actually that we lost all those podcasts because
Yeah,
those really
some-
were like
those
3
some-
great hours.
Yeah, those are some pretty classic.
Yeah, we
things.
lost that one. We also lost Ron Hunter. He's going to be back next week, though. For those of you that missed that, and so we're going to get all those back, and it'll be good. So and
We'll try to remember
haven't-
what we were talking about with Jason Offutt.
Yeah, we'll try, and if we can't, we'll make it up
We'll
as we
just-
go, like
yeah.
usual. So
There's a plane I don't know how to fly. Scott can't see. It's like Racer X and Speed Racer.
Chuck
One
won't put
race.
the pipe down. My God, this thing.
Between counting money and
Yeah.
inhaling smoke.
So anyway, I just wanted to raise concern about the new pope and his anti-Christian message coming from the only
Well, I
true
don't know if
church,
it's-
according to
Yeah,
him.
it's just very belligerent. I mean,
Yeah, that was the
I
whole
think
reason
so.
we separated. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not necessarily knocking Catholics per se, but I mean, what he's doing is wrong.
but he's
really.
the pope.
I know. Well,
All right, well, let's bring Jason Offutt on.
obviously.
Jason, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. Did I hear a speed racer reference?
Yes, you did.
Excellent.
Actually,
Kudos.
thank you. It's one of my favorite Speed Racer episodes. Maybe one of the few that I actually can remember when I was a kid, but I liked it. I like that show.
Well, Jason, welcome back to World of the Unexplained for the third time, and this time we're going to get it right.
Well, if not, you can have me back for the 4th, 27th. Doesn't matter. I love being on the show.
Oh, great. Awesome. Yeah, a lot of our guests don't want to ever come back again. It could be because I bully them, though. I don't know. What do you think, Chuck?
I don't know. I don't know of any of them that have outright refused coming back
That's
on.
true. That's true.
We need to get Prophet Yahweh back here, though. Man.
Oh, God.
He's a riot.
Yeah. Chuck, is that a gold microphone that you have?
No, it's a very beat-up SM58.
See, it's a gold microphone, Chuck.
It's gold.
Oh, it's
It
gold.
works good with your
I have my eyes closed, man.
with your magic. It's a gold microphone.
All right, Jason.
Anyway,
For those listeners that missed the last interview we had with you, give us a brief description of your book, Haunted Missouri.
The book is the subtitle really tells a lot of it. It's Haunted Missouri: A Ghostly Guide to the Show Me State's Most Spirited Spots. What I wanted to do with this book, well, first, I love ghosts. I've been really interested ever since I was a little kid. So I wanted the book to be about haunted spots, and I wanted to tell really good ghost stories. But I also wanted the spots to have historical significance, and I wanted them to be open to the public. I wanted to make sure that anybody reading this book could come to Missouri and go to all of these spots that I mentioned. I specifically wanted to leave out private residences because personally I wouldn't want ghost hunters peeking in my window in the middle of the night.
Oh, come on.
I'm an old fart like that, I guess.
Now, let's get some background on you for those that didn't hear the last 2 episodes we had. You are a college professor.
Well, something like that. I'm a college instructor. I don't have all the alphabet soup behind my name yet.
Oh, come on.
Don't have the PhD, so I can't have the official title professor. Not really sure I want it because then I have to publish boring papers. So
they wouldn't take Haunted Missouri as like a dissertation? Or?
Hey, I tried.
Oh,
yeah, no, they won't.
You tried. Hey, that works. So are you pursuing your PhD right now?
No, I'm still trying to pay off grad school.
I can understand that.
Yeah, it's going to college is fairly expensive.
But yeah, tell me about it.
I'm in no hurry. I'm in no hurry.
I understand. Well, you know, the one great thing about you that the most college professors lack is a good conservative approach that I think a lot of the liberal media is distorted in regards to our educational system. How do you feel about that?
Well, there is a whole lot of liberal bias. I remember it back when I was getting my undergraduate degree, and when I was getting my master's degree, it was really heavy in the graduate school. One of the things, however, about conservatives that makes us different from liberals is because I could tell in class that my instructors were pushing their liberal agenda. I could tell that.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything about it because I wanted to pass.
Exactly.
But I could tell that. But I don't want to push anything. I don't push a conservative agenda. I just teach my class.
Well, we push a conservative agenda here.
Well, I feel guilty pushing any sort of agenda. I
don't.
People to make up their mind on their own. So in the classroom, they're paying to be there. I just tell them the truth, which, of course, kind of leans toward my way of thinking. But let them argue with me if they want to. I don't hold it against them if they're liberal.
I understand.
That's fair. I mean, that's a pretty good, even, balanced approach to teaching, I think. I wish more teachers were like that.
I do too. Now I'm going to go to page 4 of your book real quick because we have a ghost hunting checklist, and this I'm going to quote you here if you don't mind.
No, go ahead. Please quote my book as often as you want to.
Okay, number 1, ghost hunting.
A casual conversation with a girl, even. Yeah, just quote my book.
So, did you know that? No. The ghost hunting checklist. Before you head out to your local cemetery, hotel, abandoned hospital, historic battlefield to scare up a resident spirit, here are some basic rules of ghost hunting. Number 1, my favorite rule, take loads and loads of beer. No, wait. Scratch that. No beer. Tequila shooters, recreational prescription drugs, cigarettes, and especially no chewing tobacco. It's nasty. Any sort of substance that alters your senses can ruin a good ghost hunt. I hope this clears things up. That was not rule number 1. I love that. And then you throw it out on us.
Right. Well, which is, I had to bring that up because I like to take loads and loads of beer anywhere I go, number 1. But number 2, this is one of the things that a lot of amateur ghost hunters, this is a mistake they make. It's a party. They go out and party. They're loud. They drink a lot of beer. And you know what? Any lightning bug they see is a ghost.
Oh, my gosh. Did you see that?
What? Did you see? I think Scott and I have seen such ghosts
in our past,
before,
yes.
In our past, yeah.
Well, and I guess you're right. I mean, any kind of altering substance that's going to alter your reality is definitely not going to get you in the zone that you need to be in if you're looking for stuff like this.
Yeah. You're not going to have a clear
Right.
perception.
Chewing tobacco, also, I speak from experience. I grew up in Missouri. I grew up in the Midwest. We all chew tobacco, and yes, it's nasty.
It is nasty. I agree. We're skull people out here. We were just talking about that earlier, actually. Now, what was that recipe that Dee was going to get to you? What was that, Dee?
Broccoli coleslaw.
Broccoli coleslaw.
Did you ever get that?
Did you ever send that to him?
I never got that.
Oh.
I haven't got it yet.
Okay, well, we're going to make sure you get a copy of that, Jason.
Well, I got to have
Tonight.
broccoli coleslaw.
Yeah, tonight. Now, tell us.
Well, that's one of the things that broccoli is something weird. You don't like it until you're an adult. And I've got a 7-month-old daughter, and they've got baby food. They've got like broccoli chicken. I mean, who the hell's going to feed that to a 7-month-old? I don't know. I mean, they got other flavors, like asparagus linoleum. It's really weird. If you're a parent, watch out for that. Don't subject your kids
to asparagus linoleum.
Certainly, yeah. Go for the Dutch apple dessert. It's a winner every time.
Yeah.
All right. I hate to re-interview you on this book, but we're going to. So, first of all, let me get your website information for all of your blog, your sites, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, my website, just throwing out right off the top, I've been a humor columnist for about 12, 13 years, so my main website has a bunch of humor columns. A lot about parenting because Wow, parents are dumb. I found that out when I was a parent. But there's also a link to buy my book, Haunted Missouri. My blog is from-the-shadows at blogspot.com, or .blogspot.com, sorry.
Okay, so from-the-shadows at blogspot.com.
.blogspot.com.
.blogspot.com.
Right.
All right.
Now, I have my From the Shadows column. I write a paranormal column. It's on hiatus right now because I'm working on my next book, and I just don't have time to do everything. But there's still close to 40 paranormal stories. A lot of them from Missouri, but other ones from Colorado and as far away as Sweden.
Wow.
Are still up on there, touching from everything from time travel to ghost to Bigfoot to a UFO crash.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to that time travel story again.
Oh, yeah, we definitely want to cover that. Now, they can also get the book at tsup.truman.edu, correct?
Right, that is the publisher, Truman State University Press. It's also at Amazon.com.
Okay. So, Haunted Missouri, a guide to the Show Me State's most spirited spots by Jason Offutt. That's OFFUTT. And you can catch a link on our site as well, I believe, to a couple of your pages there. What inspired you to write this book, Jason?
Long interest in the paranormal. As a little kid, I loved the Frankenstein. I loved the Wolfman movie. I still remember the old gypsy's, rhyme that she told.
Oh, the Wolfman.
Cheney Jr. Even a man who's pure at night or pure at heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolf bane blooms and the moon's full and bright. Yeah, I saw that when I was like 5 years old and just went nuts over it. But when I was about 8 to 10 years old, I saw a ghost in my house, and I was really hooked after that.
What did
but hooked.
What did it look like?
Yeah.
It was on like a Saturday afternoon, and it was really bright and sunny in the house. I walked into a hallway to pick up a book up off the shelf. I was a geek like that. And I saw a little boy, and I was the only little boy I lived out in the country. I was the only a little boy within a 3-4 mile radius. This little kid had brown hair and a flannel shirt and blue jeans. But what was really strange about him was the fact that I could see the bookcase through him.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, so I saw that, and strangely enough, I was fairly calm. I just turned around and walked back in my room and shut the door and didn't talk about it for about 30 years.
Oh, wow. That's the way to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Repressed, yeah, uh-huh.
Well, no, I thought about it a lot. I just didn't want to talk to my family about it. They thought I wanted to be a writer for a long time. They thought I was weird enough. I didn't want to throw the ghost thing in their face.
I can understand that. Is this your first book, Jason?
This is my second book. My first book is a collection of humor columns called On Being Dad. It's just about how tough it is being a parent, and that kids are messy.
Kids say the darndest things.
Kids sometimes poop the darndest things.
I'm sure.
Now, what was the most chilling of these sites that you saw here in this book?
The things I saw personally, or just the most gruesome story?
Both.
Both. The thing personally, there were a couple of different things. One, a cold spot. I found in 2 different spots. One, the LEMP, L-E-M-P mansion in St. Louis, which is USA Today named it about 10, 15 years ago as one of the 10 most haunted spots in the country.
Okay.
And in Laura J. Yater Hall at Warrensburg on the campus of the University of Central Missouri. I went 2 different years, but I went at about the same time in the middle of the summer, and it was like 96 degrees, and there was no air conditioning where I was inside the building, and I was sweating profusely, and in both places I walked into a spot that was so cold that the sweat stopped immediately, and I got goose pimples.
Oh, all right. Like good old air conditioning there.
Yeah, I was really thinking that. Actually, I went to one spot so cold during one winter, I kind of wanted to walk into a cold spot just to warm up. But
Wow.
anyway, that was stupid. Anyway, both of these cold spots, I stood there for a few seconds, trying to just feel what was going on around me. Then I stepped out, and when I stepped back, the cold spots were both gone. But they were noticeably 20 or so degrees cooler than what I was in.
Did you take any readings, or I guess you may not have had any equipment out at the time, or?
Now, one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I did in writing this book is I've been a journalist for a while, and I wanted to write this as a journalist. I didn't want to write it as a Ghostbuster, so I didn't go in with an EMF meter.
Okay.
I didn't try to get EVPs. I didn't do any of that stuff. I went in and interviewed people and walked through the grounds and just got a feel for the place.
All right, well, fair enough.
That's definitely a different approach to the subject, I think. Just
Well,
kind of
that's one of
walking
the
in.
things that I don't want to experience anything.
Yeah, I'm there with you, brother.
Yeah, sure, I will hang out in a cemetery at 2:00 in the morning, but
But you're not looking for anything.
no. Writing about ghosts is fun. Actually having one tap me on the shoulder, not so fun anymore.
Understandable.
Oh, I'd run myself, man. I'm right there with you. I'm out, like
you wouldn't even be there till 2 in the morning.
No, I wouldn't. If I hear a sound, the voice that says "Get out," man, I'm there. I'm out.
Oh, yeah, a horror movie starring me would be 3 minutes.
Yeah, me too.
Get out.
Bye.
I'm gone. Okay, thanks.
Well, nice talking to
By
you.
the house.
Ta-ta. Enjoy the eternal damnation. Anyway.
Well, we're gonna, Jason, we're gonna have to take our first break. So just hang with us here, and we'll be back with you in just a little bit. The guest tonight is Jason Offutt. The book is Haunted Missouri, A Ghostly Guide to the Show Me State's Most Spirited Spots. And you can pick that up by going to tsup.truman.edu or on amazon.com. You're listening to World of the Unexplained. Give us a call here, 877-SCARE-U2, and speak with us and Jason tonight. We'll be right back in just a bit.
This is World of the Unexplained. Tonight we got Jason Offutt, author of Haunted Missouri. A ghostly guide to the Show Me State's Most Spirited Spots. I'm doing that completely from memory because
you are, because I've got the book over here.
Yeah.
Ha ha.
Anyway, guys, if you want to call in, and I know you do, I know you're out there. We know you're out there. The numbers are 1-877-722-7382 or 1-336-996-1596. Give us a call tonight, and there's a deal with the chat room. Just go to our website and click on the chat button and re-register where we'll OmniSound.
Yeah, go to the front page. I haven't changed all the links on the chat from different pages. So go to the front page when it says chat. And click on that one.
It's so if you're having trouble with the chat room, that's the problem. Okay, Jason, we got a request from our phone master, D, and he wants to talk about Stevens College and the interesting experiences that happened there.
Well, Stevens College is in Columbia, Missouri. Columbia, where the University of Missouri and Columbia University are, not to be confused with Columbia University of Journalism in, I believe, New York. But anyway, Stevens, there's a nice ghost story, a nice love story about the Civil War. At the time, it was a woman's college, and it was a college where a lot of rich families sent their daughters to be educated. And it was during the Civil War when a Confederate, this is where it's kind of fuzzy, the history professors I spoke with didn't know. They argued about whether he was a Union or a Confederate soldier. But this guy was wounded, and he snuck into the girls' dorm. Who wouldn't?
Wounded or not.
And they took care of him. They bandaged him. They
I bet they did.
Oh, yeah.
Little nurse action going on there, Jason.
as best they could. Yeah, leave that open. And one of the girls named Sarah fell in love with this soldier, and he, well, supposedly as legend goes, fell in love with her. The soldiers who were after him were outside the fence that surrounded Senior Hall, and just because of politeness, they wouldn't go in and get the guy because it was a girl's dorm. Well, eventually, the soldier and this girl escaped and were chased down, and there was a swollen river because it had been pouring down rain, and they drowned. And the legend is that these figures will be seen in walking down Senior Hall, the soldier and the woman, Sarah. the interesting part about this, I was interviewing an instructor who's been there since the early 70s, and he'd conducted a seance with some students and some other faculty in Senior Hall. It was abandoned at the time and in pretty bad shape. And there were a couple of reporters from the Columbia Tribune, and all of a sudden, the reporters from the Columbia Tribune were sitting out in the hall, and they were screaming and raising a ruckus, and everybody rushed out in the hall to see what the problem was. And they had seen a soldier and a woman dressed in a white gown walking down the stairs. And all of a sudden, all of the light, or the candles blew out from the seance, a girl screamed and fainted, and that was it for the evening. The reason this is interesting is a couple hours later, a couple of girls were returning home back to their dorm from a party, and they were walking in front of Senior Hall, and a woman dressed in white approached them and asked specifically for them to tell the professor who had been conducting the seance never to come into Senior Hall again. He was not welcome, and then she just disappeared.
Wow.
And he said he hasn't been back yet.
Oh, I can understand
1971.
that. I can understand that. That would keep me gone for 30
maybe
plus years.
Respect the wishes of the dead and leave it be, you know.
Well, yeah, and I guess, don't mind ghosts too much if they don't notice me.
Yeah.
If they look at me or specifically call me by name, yeah,
yeah, that would probably
that happened to
day.
Josh, one of the Lemur Team Ghost Hunt.
Oh, really?
They were him and it wasn't him though. It was him and I think Brian Irish were doing this. They were in this completely dark cellar. They were on the other side, and then you hear like this voice. It's like a whisper. It's like, Brian. And I was like, oh man, I'd have been out of there. Yeah, I'd have been gone.
And he stayed?
Yeah, they stayed.
Oh,
idiots.
come on.
They always stick around for that. They're like, ooh, that's cool.
He spoke to me by name. Look how he reaches his skeletal fingers towards my heart. Look, he's clutching the life right
Quick,
out of me.
what's the meter reading on that?
What is that? Do you have a shot of this?
Yeah.
I
Feeling
can't
sleepy.
see it. My head just spun around backwards.
Exactly.
What am I reading?
Yeah.
What do you think about today we've got all these modern technological advances with photographs, with cameras and Photoshop and things like that being around that we didn't have back in the day. So, like, example I'm looking at right now, it's probably a photograph you've seen before. It was taken in 1936 of the Brown Lady.
Oh my gosh, that's probably one of the scariest photographs I've ever seen.
It's like a
That's
full.
also probably one of the most famous ghost photographs.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have to look at it because it's burned into my mind.
Yeah, I agree. It is a creepy photo, and they didn't have that kind of technology then. Now there were things that they did with photos then to make these things work and to make them fake.
Yeah,
I
a
guess.
double exposure would have worked in that case.
Yeah.
Now I don't think that this photo's ever been proven to be anything like that, though.
No,
then-
I wasn't trying to debunk it. I was just
No,
pointing that out.
yeah, no. What I'm saying is, I think this photo is actually the real deal. I don't think that they've been able to disprove it. Its veracity, but when you see the stuff today, it's kind of harder because there's so much technology.
It's so
there.
easy to
fake
fake a
it.
photo.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult to dissect it and prove it one way or another.
So how do you?
And I really, really think that today all of the ghost hunters are basically wasting their time. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but because the way technology is today, because of the audio technology, because of the video, and Photoshop, all this technology, you can fake anything.
I agree.
And it's not going to be until science gets off its butt and decides to seriously pursue this that people will believe the findings. Yes, I might go out and take a picture of a full-bodied apparition. I will know that, yes, what I took was a ghost, but nobody's going to buy it officially.
Now, do you think that science is going to move in that direction? Do you feel that we all know psychology at first was kind of laughed at, and some of us still laugh at it, but I mean, before it was actually considered a real science, do you think parapsychology is ever going to enter a time where people are going to take it seriously?
Eventually, and it's going to take some pretty brave people. Let's look at Bigfoot. I think his name is Jeff Meldrum. He's a professor at the Utah State University, I believe. He decided to take a scientific look at Bigfoot.
Okay.
And he took his took his knowledge and looked at all of the evidence for Bigfoot and just gave it a scientific analysis. And he's been kind of excommunicated from his colleagues. But that's the kind of thing people need to do. Scientists need to be brave enough and not worry about getting tenure or not to look at it. I mean, before we're actually going to know that, hey, yeah, scientifically, there's an afterlife.
Oh, it's kind of like that whole that death machine that Thomas Edison did. Chuck's looking that up right now. I remember we had a guest in the past. Who was that, Trent?
It was your buddy with the ghost hunt out at the Twin Lakes Lodge.
No, that wasn't him. No, we talked about that. That was John's Apples. We talked about it. This has got rid of President's Vampire. I cannot think of his name right off the top of my head.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I can't remember.
It was a great book, great show, real nice guy. But this book that he wrote, there's a whole chapter he devoted to this death machine or death box that Edison had. Are you familiar with that, Jason?
Well, are you talking about the apparatus that Edison wanted to be able to talk to the dead?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one.
And that's just weird.
Well, and that's what because I remember as a kid back in the 70s, I remember reading something about EVPs. They weren't called that, but I was reading a story about leaving a tape recorder sitting in a dead silent room and then leaving and coming back later, and you might get voices. I never did that in my house because I didn't want voices.
Oh, heck no.
But I read about it back then, and then looking into it deeper, Thomas Edison, the guy who invented audio recording, he wanted to do that. That's one of the first things he wanted to do. So at one point, yes, this ghosts had their place in science. They don't anymore.
Now, what do you?
It's a shame too because
you're a Christian, right?
Yes.
All right. How do you? What do you think of ghosts? What do you think they are? How do you resolve that with your? As far as your Christian beliefs versus I guess, I'm just walking all over myself, tongue-tied and brain-tied. How do you feel about the word ghost? What kind of impression does that bring to your mind? What do you consider these things?
I'm really fairly confused personally over ghost because underneath, especially the New Testament, it's ghostly entities are nothing but demons.
Yeah.
Right. And they're here to trick us. But if they were, if all ghosts were demons, why are they, so calm? Why don't they interact with us more? Why do they just walk through a room and through a wall and they're completely oblivious to it?
That's a good point.
They wouldn't be. They would be trying to interact with us. So what ghosts are, I really, really don't know.
Or maybe it's part of the deceptive tactic.
Which could be. I've interviewed a lot of people about Ouija boards and things that are similar, and that's one of the things that they all say is anything you contact in one of these boards is going to be a demonic entity, and it'll seem great at first. It'll seem friendly. It'll tell you the name of your dead dog.
Well, yeah. Think about it. Eve was tempted by the serpent. It wasn't it's like, ooh, I'm the big bad evil serpent. Come on, take a bite.
Look at my horns and flames. Aren't I cool?
Yeah.
Of course not.
But
I want to be accessible and
it delved in on that human, the human aspect of, do you want to know good and evil? Do you want the snake basically centered in on those human
desires,
frailties that we have of for power or for lust
knowledge.
Knowledge, knowledge, curiosity, and these are things that in a sense in the paranormal, that's what a lot of your ghost hunters have. They've got that curiosity, that lust for that knowledge and the power behind it.
To answer that kind of
but I will say this, Jason. I talked with Lorraine Warren about this years ago, and she is a Catholic. And she told me that she believes, and this works great. This is a great theory. It works great if you're a Catholic. The explanation for these people that were once alive and are now dead that you see walking around, they're in purgatory.
Yeah, they're not quite here nor there.
Yeah, and I thought that was a great answer.
Wasn't the Pope gonna get rid of purgatory recently?
Oh, who knows?
Couple years.
Yeah,
we're just talking about.
They did abolish limbo, though.
Confuses me.
They abolished limbo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, doggone it. That's like my favorite part of the Catholic afterlife.
Limbo. Oh man.
That dance is awesome. I'm sorry.
If the ghost, but you mentioned the serpent was interacting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people I've interviewed, the ghost will only do things like open a door, you hear footsteps across the room, another door shuts. It does it every night, and that's it.
What do you think of the idea of a repetitive? What's it called?
The I don't know what it is, but basically that the ghost is not sentient. It basically is residual life energy or something, just kind of repeating itself over and over again. I mean, what do you?
What do you explain? How do you explain that? Is it trying to tempt you into something?
Or is it just
it's
It's
like
like walking across the flipping floor.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, what
it's
if
like
it's
a
something that's
photographic
like
negative sort
a
of?
photographic negative that's trapped in time that continually does the same thing over and over again. That's not really a spirit at all. It's
not
just
really even conscious.
Yeah, it's just a captured image that continues to replay itself every day at that certain time.
Yeah.
Well, and again, this is another reason why I approach this book, this subject, as a journalist and not a hunter, because I don't want to find something. I don't want this thing to interact with me.
You're probably not going to want to find Dee's coleslaw broccoli recipe either.
Oh man.
Well, what?
That was just mean, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, Dee. Really.
Yeah, Chuck speaks from the golden mic, man.
It might be
just
good.
Kinda,
I just don't see how it could be, but it might be.
You just gotta have an open mind.
Now Trent did have the Wotu Monster Mash potatoes the other night. What'd you think of those?
Oh, they're pretty awesome.
Yeah,
They're like mega awesome.
We're gonna have to put that recipe up on the site because I created that and it's good. Yeah, I created it. It's good. It's got bacon
Well,
in
if you
it.
start posting recipes, let me know, because I definitely want in on that.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta
as
give.
opposed, also including my humor column and the writing about paranormal events. I also write a guy's cooking column once a month for a magazine.
Oh, that's right.
That's right, you do.
And what?
Yeah.
Tell us where that's located again.
Yeah, it's at www.thex.info. It's called The Guy's Kitchen.
The Guy's Kitchen.
All right.
Next month, I'm doing Guy's Breakfast, and I found a great recipe. You get what I'm going for is simple. You get a bag of pancake batter or pancake mix, and just pour in beer.
I like it already.
That is simple.
Now, does this work with the beer
simple.
you didn't drink from the night before?
Well, right.
Yeah.
You don't want to take the beer can that's got the cigarette butt in it, though.
Yeah, it's
Try to
gotta
avoid that.
fries up in the pan with the rest of it.
I mean, how many times have you done that, though? You take a drink and, the cigarette butt hits you in the back of the throat and it's just like, it's over.
No, because
It's over. It's like, oh, God. Oh, yeah, it's over.
game's over.
Yeah.
That's
Go
one
to
of my
bed.
favorite scenes from Caddyshack.
That has happened here before at band practice, yeah.
Really?
Happened to Matt, yeah, a couple weeks ago or a couple
Maybe
months
you just
ago.
don't
yeah.
put your cigarette butts out and things that you
Uh-huh,
drink, man.
yep. They were down here drinking, and Matt had a cigarette. Or Jeff, I think, put a cigarette out in one of the beer cans, and Matt thought it was his, and he picked it up.
Uh-huh.
And I just saw the look on his face, of the most disgusting, putrid look I've ever seen. And then the beer was all over the floor.
Wow. That's a dangerous business, that is.
And tell us about Hazel Ridge Cemetery.
Hazel Ridge was a really interesting place. I went in the middle of the day with a group of people who ghost hunt up there, and it's on top of a hill. And tops of hills are kind of windy usually.
Oh yeah.
This was just dead. It was totally dead air. No, it was no wind, no nothing. And there was a fence, and cows were on the other side of the fence just staring at us.
Going like, no
What
wind.
are they doing here?
Do they know there's not
I hope
wind?
they weren't saying, they look pretty good to eat.
Well, they're not happy cows, because happy cows come from California, according to TV.
Oh, is that so?
That's what the commercial said.
They also come from Europe, but,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But Hazel Ridge, the people I talked to, one of the most interesting points about it is they said they've been there quite a few times, and they've mapped out the cemetery. And sometimes when they go back there, the tombstones and the trees are in different places.
The trees too.
The trees.
Too.
Ooh.
They have seen people dressed in like Amish type clothing, peek at them from behind trees, and when they go over there, they're of course nobody's there. One of the most interesting, after the moving tombstones and trees, was an EVP of little kids singing "Ring Around the Rosie." It was in a spot where there were a bunch of little children's graves.
Oh,
They
my
died
gosh.
of cholera back in the late 1800s.
Yeah, wasn't that song originally for the Black Plague,
Yeah.
Ring Around the
It was,
Roses?
it was
Fucking
describing
yeah.
the Black Death.
Yeah, that's what I thought. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty ironic.
Being
that-
we are all educated men here. And
Scholars and gentlemen.
I love nursery rhymes. Ladybug, fly away home. Do you know what the rest of the lyrics are?
No, I don't.
Your house is on fire. Your children will burn.
Actually, you know what? That Jeff Keith actually used from Tesla, lead singer of Tesla, put another band together years ago called Bar 7, and he actually used that nursery rhyme in one of his songs. And I did not know that that's where that came from.
That's really crazy.
Huh?
So kids, chanted that stuff, gleefully.
No,
as it were.
the interesting thing about Hazel Ridge Cemetery, though, I find when you talk about it, that you wouldn't have been able to find the place if you hadn't been following somebody.
Oh, right. It's absolutely in the middle of nowhere. It's near a small town called Brunswick, which has a convenience store.
Oh, right.
That qualifies it for small town
Yeah,
status.
I think that's about all it has. It's out in the country off of a gravel road. One of the things that
Unnamed gravel road.
one of the things. Well, I love gravel roads. A lot of really cool things have happened on gravel roads, but
To me,
I don't
too.
want to get back to my high school days.
Oh, yeah. I've fishtailed many a car on a gravel road. I used to live on a gravel road years ago.
Yeah,
and,
you did. There was
God,
a,
man,
didn't
I've
you
hit
hit like
so
a,
much stuff
didn't
when I
you
was
hit
a
a
kid.
house on
I
the
hit a
gravel-
house when I was a kid, yeah.
on the gravel road.
I was
That's-
like 17.
Oh,
man.
man, that's a great story.
Hit a house. I knocked myself out. I was going down the road, man, straight road. This wasn't on the gravel road, though, but this is a straight road. It's paved. And I was going like 55 miles an hour. I lost control of the car, and so I jumped. When I lost control, I went off the road. I tried to pull it back on, and I couldn't. I went off the road, and I jumped this big ditch. And when I landed on the other side, I hit my head on the top of the car. So it knocked me out, right? It knocked me out.
Assuming you're not wearing your seatbelt.
Oh, I was wearing my seatbelt. So it knocked me out.
You hit your head on the top of the car.
Maybe I was. No, that's right. I just took my seatbelt off. That's what had happened. You're right. Hang on, guys. Give me a break here. This is this was
probably the
this
best
was 16
accident
years
story
ago.
ever,
But anyway, or
ever.
15 years ago. But yeah, so yeah. Anyway, it knocks me out, and then when it knocked me out, it pushed my, I guess my foot, my gas foot, just like slams to the floor, right? So I'm cutting up. This house is on a hill, okay? I'm cutting up through this grass, man. I'm hitting cherry trees, knocking them out of the ground, uprooting them. I'm hitting all the flowers, man. I ride up against the side of the house, and then I hit the front porch stairs that are brick, knock like 7 bricks out, roll over the steps, and then come to a stop in the middle of their yard. Yeah.
And you gotta know what Scott looked like back in those days too. I think that's even the best part with his Aerosmith jeans jacket,
Yeah,
and
that
like
hair-
really
hair down to
long
my-
hair
down to the middle of my
You
back.
know? Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, and they just
The cop's looking for marijuana
Yeah,
the minute
right.
he comes up.
Stumbled
He's
out of the
like,
car
Yeah,
and-
we know your cop. What you on, son? Like nothing, man. And I'm high on life.
I'm surprised you didn't get back in the car, man, and try and turn it over again.
Actually, I did try to I did put the gas on it to see what would happen, and it just sputtered this fluid out of the hood.
I knew it.
It was
Big
bad.
question is, what kind of car was it?
It was a light blue Dodge. What was that?
Oh,
It was a Dodge sedan. It was
Yeah.
a 4-door Dodge
I
sedan,
remember
light
that.
blue. I don't remember.
That was before the Datsun.
Yeah, that was before the
Rolled
Datsun,
the
which I
window.
also wrecked.
Scott probably had 178 car wrecks
Oh,
between the
man.
ages of like 17
and
22.
19, man. Yeah, it was those are rough years.
There was a couple of times you hit people. And,
No, I never hit a person unless they were in an
no, I
automobile.
mean, that's what I was saying, Scott.
Oh, yeah,
people
yeah.
in the car.
I hit a telephone pole. I mean,
Yeah.
I hit all kinds. And the way I hit the telephone pole is I was lighting a cigarette. I was looking down to light the cigarette, and I looked up, and the next thing I know, there's this telephone pole that jumped out in front of me. Imagine that at 16, trying to explain that to mom and dad. That was not a fun
Yeah,
phone
once
call.
again, you gotta know what Scott looked like. I think
Yeah.
that's part of the humor of it,
Anyway.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Well, the girls liked it, so that's all that matters. But we'll get back to your book now, Jason. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I was getting ready to talk about my wreck of my 1976 Gran Torino while I was wearing an AC/DC shirt and a mullet. But
yeah.
Oh, okay, well,
Yeah, you've got to tell
yeah,
this.
Yeah, go ahead and say it. Yeah,
Yeah, this we have to hear.
yeah.
No. I mean
That's the story.
And I also had an earring that reached down halfway down my neck. But anyway, that's beside the point. The car, that sort of car was a Starsky and Hutch car. I ran it in so many ditches. I ran into so many things. I ran over things like, a lawn tractor, okay? But it didn't hurt the car.
Oh, my
It wasn't
gosh.
until the car was parked at college and somebody hit it on the side of the road, minding his own business, that the thing got totaled.
Oh, man. So it was invincible while it was moving, but, once it stopped, the force field went down.
That was its one weakness.
Yeah.
Got to be moving.
Yeah. Those cars were awesome, too. I kind of wish I had one like that. Not like I would run over things with it, Well, don't worry about it, D. But,
We just got a little bit of time before our next break at the top of the hour. This is our long break. Tell us about the new book you're working on, what you can tell us anyway.
The new book is tentatively called right now Never Too Far From Home. I wanted to do a book about the paranormal close to where I live for two reasons. One, I wanted to show people that the paranormal is not just in the Pacific Northwest. It's not just in Roswell, New Mexico. It's not just in New England. It's right outside your back door. The second reason is gas is too darn expensive.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to have to drive too far to do this book, so those are the two reasons. The subhead is UFOs, Ghosts, Bigfoot, and the Gates of Hell.
Okay.
Which will make a great Mother's Day present next year, by the way.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
No.
So within a 200-mile radius of my house, I'm going to go to all sorts of fun places, one of which is a house in Iowa I just went to where a family was butchered with an axe back in 1912, and their ghosts still haunt the home.
Wow. Well, Lizzie Borden coming on there. Well, we're going to have to take a short break, and we'll be right back in about 5 minutes with Jason Offutt. Call in 877-722-7382. That's toll free in the U.S. and Canada, or locally 336-996-1596. 877-SCARE-U2. Call in, guys. We know you're out there. We know you're listening. We know you love it. Give us a call and speak with Jason Offutt. We might even give you a free book away. I don't know. We're going to find out about that. We'll make you listen for some noise like all these other ridiculous people do. We'll be right back in just a second after this. And we're back, World of the Unexplained. We're speaking with author Jason Offutt, the author of Haunted Missouri, a ghostly guide to the Show Me State's most spirited spots. So, Jason.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I'm here.
Well, let me give the number real quick. 877-SCARE-U2. Call in. Talk to Jason. All right. Jason, what was the most fun that you had in any of these? What's your favorite story out of this book?
Well, I've got a couple of favorite stories. One is Mark Twain Cave in Hannibal, Missouri, and the only reason it's one of my favorites is because it's just really creepy before we get to the ghost part. Dr. Joseph McDowell was a surgeon from St. Louis back in the 1800s, about the time Mark Twain was probably about 10 years old, and he was looking for a way to preserve a human body. And he purchased Mark Twain Cave in Hannibal because it was 52 degrees all year round, constant humidity. It was perfect for his experiments. Trouble is he didn't have a dead body. And his 14-year-old daughter died. So he stuck her in a glass-lined copper cylinder and filled it full of alcohol and hanged her from a ceiling in the cave.
Problem solved.
Exactly. He was probably just waiting. Honey, why don't you go play outside in the cold? Thank you.
Oh, my gosh.
No, but he hanged her in there, and
Yeah.
Mark Twain even wrote about this in Life on the Mississippi. He claimed he wasn't part of it. But a lot of kids from Hannibal would go out to the cave and just explore. And the older kids who knew the body was hanging in that room would tell ghost stories to the younger kids. Then they'd walk back into that room. The older kid would screw off the top of the cylinder and pull the girl's head out by her hair.
Oh, God.
And, of course, the little kids would go screaming out of the cave, and eventually the parents got ticked off enough. They petitioned the surgeon to take his dead daughter out of the cave.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
I mean, that's just
that
disturbing.
can be
on
very sanitary.
Yeah, that's
though.
disturbing on so many levels, you know?
Right, and we're not even to the ghost part. The ghost part's not disturbing. There's this girl, they have pictures of her when she was alive. This girl has been seen many times by many different guests and tour guides of the cave, peeking out from behind rocks, joining the tour, walking through walls. Yeah, wacky things that ghosts do.
Yeah. Wow.
Weird.
I mean, that's really just that's just a bizarre story.
That's creepy. It's just creepy. I can just see this now. It scarred some kids for life on that. Well, Trent, you had something you wanted to bring up.
Oh, yeah. Before, we're going to step over to your blog spot a little bit, and I realize that's on hiatus right now, but please, Jason, tell us a story about the time traveler.
Mike Markham. I love Mike Markham. I wish I could talk to Mike Markham. Nobody has heard from Mike Markham that I've been able to determine since like 1997. This guy is originally from Ohio. He moved to a little town in Missouri called Stansbury. And while he was there, he built. He'd gone to trade school and learned a little bit about electricity, and he built a Jacob's ladder. Jacob's ladder is 2 pieces of wire with electricity traveling up it a lot, like you saw in the old Frankenstein movie. Yeah, one of those. Well, he said a vortex opened at the top of it, and he took a screw and threw it through there, and it disappeared for a few seconds, then landed back on the table. So because of that, he said, "Hey, I've invented a time machine." And he wanted to build a life-size one. So he convinced some people to steal, this was like at 11 o'clock in the morning, broad daylight, to steal 6 transformers, that hang from poles from St. Joseph Power and Light. And they did, and they took it to his house, and he put it on his porch.
No one's going to catch that.
He took these big metal rods, put wire around them, hooked the transformers up, and then turned the power on.
Oh, God.
And then he was caught because, for some odd reason, everybody in the town's electricity went off.
Imagine that.
I'm not sure why, but yeah, that happened. He got arrested.
No.
I called the arresting officer, who's now the sheriff, about 5-6 months ago. He had a big laugh about it when I asked him, and he said the guy was really sincere. Kind of dumb stealing all those transformers from St. Joe Power and Light, and trying to light him on fire on his porch. but sincere. Anyway, the guy, what he wanted to do was invent this time machine, go a couple of days into the future, get the winning lotto numbers, and then come back.
Gee, does that sound familiar?
It has nothing to do with the betterment of mankind, increasing the body of knowledge of mankind. No, he just wanted to
be rich,
lottery numbers.
Filthy rich.
This puts this guy in a category different than most scientists. This guy is honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and after his jail term was over, he moved to St. Joseph, Missouri, and tried to do the same thing again in his apartment legally. He was accused of trying to throw a cat through the machine. He denied that. And then he eventually disappeared. Nobody's been able to track him down.
That's the interesting part.
He must have went too far in the future.
Yeah.
He either went too far into the future or turned into a strip of bacon.
Yeah, he electrocuted himself.
Disintegrated.
You would think they would have found the body, though.
No, it landed in 438 in Constantinople.
Oh, okay.
From the sky.
Well, we've got, Chuck's pulled up some stuff here. It says time machine construction delayed. In March of 1995, Michael E. Markham, 21, only 21 years old, was arrested for the theft of 6 350-pound power company transformers in Stanbury, Missouri in January.
How do you move these things?
He put one in his trunk with the trunk open and drove it home.
Well, how do you
back to the other one?
How do you lift a 300
How did the
by
cops
yourself?
not see it immediately?
He had a bunch of guys help him lift the thing up. But why the heck wasn't he pulled over
by
or
a cop?
Reported
I
for
don't
having
know.
a transformer sticking out of his trunk?
Didn't even use a truck, man. Come on.
Unbelievable. Well,
Well, then how do people not call and go, yeah, there's some guy in a...
Yeah, it says here that he called a radio show from Nevada and said he was only 30 days away from finishing his invention. This was in October of 96. And that his Missouri landlord had evicted him for various electrical misadventures in his apartment.
electrical misadventures.
Electrical misadventures. Yeah. Can you imagine living next door to this guy?
I don't know. But about that transformer thing, people that saw it, maybe they just thought it was so unbelievable. Is that really? Oh, no, it can't be. Sometimes it's just, the most absurd things can go on because they happen in broad daylight, and people just can't believe it's going on because it's so ridiculous.
Which fits into the Douglas Adams, the guy who wrote the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy trilogy, or not trilogy, it was 5 books. He called it a trilogy, even though it was 5 books. He said there have been alien encounters. They happen every day, but people don't want to deal with it, so they don't notice it. It's not my problem.
Yeah.
It's somebody else's. That might have been what, this was. Is that a transfer? No, I don't care.
Nah.
I think you can see that. I was
Who's winning the
watching
game?
Late night TV one night on Court TV. They have these, like world's craziest videos or something, And they had like this guy in a subway, basically. I guess this chick had broken line in front of him, and he's like, getting irate with her for breaking in line. So she gets all mad and starts going off on him, and he's just trying to be, not really apologetic, but he's got his hands up in a defensive posture, like, hey, chill out here, you're the one that broke in line, kind of thing. Well, then she goes out and gets her like 350-pound, 6'5" boyfriend to come in, who proceeds to start like just beating this guy right there in front of all these people, and they're just standing around, just kind of watching, not doing anything.
Well, did you hear about the case recently where there was a woman killed in a convenience store? And somebody took a cell phone photo of her. She laid there for about 5 or 10 minutes. They've got security footage of it. But 3 or 4 people walked right past her and looked at her. Somebody actually whipped out a cell phone and took a picture.
It could have called 911.
Well, that was the point made,
and that's
Those
a problem.
people, whoever
with
took that
America
picture, maybe they should be charged for some kind of criminal act. Because it seems to me.
I've read the story, and I think they talked about that. I don't know if they were actually charged, but
there's no duty. There's no duty to help.
But there should be. I don't know. Maybe it just seems.
That's grounded in thousands of years of law.
Well, apparently, there's no Good Samaritan law in whatever state this occurred in.
Yeah, I think you're confusing that with the last episode of Seinfeld.
Well, I'll have to say I don't think I've really watched Seinfeld that much to know. So it's a good show. What I've seen of it's a good show.
They were locked up in the end for.
Yeah, they went to jail.
Yeah, they saw somebody being mugged and they didn't help.
Oh,
right.
They recorded it.
Oh, they recorded it. Well, that's But yeah, there's no duty to perform generally. That's a common approach. I mean, there's really no duty.
It needs to be a superhero.
No, obviously, if it was your child or something like that, you'd have a duty to act. But I don't know. But that just tells you where America's going, and that's why the Islamo-fascists are winning. Because we've all become a bunch of disinterested,
spineless cowards.
Yeah, pretty much. We should just go to France right now. We should just move.
They did have Napoleon.
One of the main problems in the country is we don't want to offend anybody.
Oh, I know. It's political correctness gone.
Unless you're Christian, then it's open game.
Oh, yeah. Then you're offending everyone.
Or from the Southeast.
Or from the Southeast. Yeah, Southeast? What do you say that?
You haven't ever seen Southerners depicted in a
very negative light,
Yeah, they always get the dumbest guy, man. They'll get the dumbest country bumpkin guy. That's the one they always get to be on TV. They just say, well, I was looking out here on my back porch, and you got dogs all running around barking and stuff. And
they just want to perpetuate.
There's a car up on bricks.
They want to perpetuate the stereotype that there are intelligent Southerners.
And then I saw this light. It's like,
I always see the lady smoking a cigarette, wearing a muumuu, and she's in foam curlers.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
it's awful.
But I mean, people like that are throughout the country. That's the thing, There's people like that everywhere, But for whatever reason, we get pegged here in the Southeast of, having the majority on them.
Hey, I'm from Missouri. We have our share of rednecks too.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I mean,
we got a caller for you, Jason. It's Ron from Raleigh. Ron, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing just fine. How are you guys tonight?
Doing great.
Well, look, I got sort of a question for Jason. Is like, sell me your book, man. Tell me a little bit more about some of the other chapters and some of the other the stuff that you've covered in Missouri. I'd like to hear more about it.
Well, a lot of the things I covered, I think I'd mentioned earlier. I've got some historical significance. There were a number of major Civil War battles in Missouri.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. There's a lot of Civil War ghosts that are out there, and they're very prominent and usually appear in very public spots that are frequented by a lot of people. So if you could elaborate on that, that would be great.
Well, one being Lone Jack, the Battle of Lone Jack, Missouri, and that's where I think Rooster Cogburn lost his eye. But that's neither here nor there. The Battle of Lone Jack was an extremely bloody battle. It's still a pretty small town. It always has been. But it was kind of a crossroads of paths throughout the settling time of the country. And during the Civil War, there was a battle where thousands of troops were killed. It was during the mid-August, really hot. Lots of troops and horses were just lining the streets. They are still, whenever they do any sort of dig, they still find remnants of that battle there today. And most of the ghost stories I've heard are soldiers still on encampment. Fires are seen in fields where the battle was. Soldiers are still seen marching.
Do you know what year and campaign that was?
It was August 21st, 63, I believe.
Okay, and what was the campaign? Do you remember, like, who it was that was supposed to be out there, and what were they doing?
I'm really not sure. It's been like a year and a half since I researched that chapter, so the details are. I really don't remember that specifically, but I do know that on one side, Cole Younger was there at the battle. He was a very young man at the time. Wilson's Creek Battlefield, south of Springfield, Missouri, was another place that I covered. People still hear cannons firing. People still see soldiers. People still see people dressed in period clothes walking through the fields down there.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, it's really interesting because I've talked to people who saw things in the 40s. Talked to people who saw things in the 60s. I saw things talked to people who've seen things recently. So this sort of thing's been going on for quite a while.
Right.
Jesse James.
Another question that I was going to bring up was, if you have a newspaper column and people know you're interested in the paranormal, do people write you with things and ask you questions about things that are going on, or do they inform you if they think they've seen a ghost, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's anybody who wants to tell me their ghost story, if they've seen, heard, felt, know somebody who's seen, heard, or felt something, and wants to tell me about it, you can get a hold of me at Jason Offutt, JASONOFFUTT, @hotmail.com. I've gotten stories from all over, not just Missouri. I've gotten stories from Colorado, Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio, Stockholm, Sweden, Tokyo. I love stories from all over.
Well, what's the one from Tokyo?
It was an American who lives in Tokyo who was really interested in the fact that in Japan, seeing ghosts is normal. It's not sort of taboo and only for the fringe crowd like it
right. They could
sometimes
be your
is over here.
ancestors in I think Shintoism or whatever it is. Is that what you're saying?
Well, he didn't get into that many specifics, but he did tell me that a coworker often sees a samurai warrior in her house.
Whoa. Well, Ron,
like with the full armor and everything?
Yes.
Ron, we're going to have to let you go. We're having some trouble with your phone line over here.
I got you. Okay.
But,
well, I just wanted to call in and say I think it's a wonderful show. Please keep on trucking, guys.
All right, thanks so much, man. Take it easy.
Later.
Okay.
Samurai warrior.
Samurai warrior in the bedroom.
Of course, there's Scott, that sounds like a really bad 80s hair metal song.
Okay.
Like Electric Wolf.
I want to talk about this
one.
Landers Theater that you talk about in Springfield, Jason. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the Landers is one of the first places in the state to show movies. But before that, it showed vaudeville acts. John Philip Sousa performed there. The ghost story back when.
Because theaters are just creepy, I mean, old ones.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Well, this is a great theater because there are. It has a goblin motif. There are a lot of goblins hanging from the walls. A person who's worked there for about 10 or 15 years told me that's fairly common in theaters to ward off evil spirits.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't seem to work much. The couple of stories I have from the Landers, the most prevalent is back in the segregated days, African Americans had to watch anything on the stage from the second floor, from the balcony, and there was a fire, and everybody rushed out, and as the legend goes, a baby was stomped to death as everybody was leaving the balcony, and people report hearing babies cry up there. I interviewed a guy who lived on lived on the 3rd or 4th floor, I don't remember, of the Landers for a couple of years while he worked there, and he would often hear a baby cry. Of course, he said, big theater, it's old, could be a cat. Cat snuck in, fine. They sound like a baby. He also saw one night in his apartment, he keeps the windows open because nobody can really look in that high on the 3rd or 4th floor, but he woke up and he couldn't see the street light. Something black was between him and the window.
Oh, my gosh.
He couldn't see anything. He just lay there and watched until it eventually disappeared.
Huh.
Scotland ran.
Yeah.
I would have totally ran. Now you mentioned Yeater Hall. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yater
Hall. All right. That a light switch came on by itself when you were there.
That was one of the most interesting things I've experienced. The 3rd floor of Yater Hall is closed.
Okay.
First, I'll start off. Yater Hall is the oldest dorm on the University of Central Missouri campus. It was founded by Laura J. Yater, a former Latin instructor who wanted to build. She raised money to build the first all-woman dorm, and the 3rd floor of that has been closed for a number of years because of what the university calls electrical problems. It's padlocked.
Okay.
You can't get up there unless you've got a key, and the only people with key are the people in the housing department. But there's one room on that floor that the lights come on in the middle of the night for no reason and stay on until somebody from maintenance goes up there and shuts it off.
Oh, God, wouldn't you hate to be that guy? Oh, my God. Now the light's on again, Bob. You go get that?
Yes.
No.
No, I won't.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Well, I went up there with the director of housing who was completely poo-pooing the whole ghost story, and we walked by that room. We stopped in, and the light was on. He said the great words, that's odd. And we flipped the switch down to the off position. The lights went off. We walked 2 doors down, look at another room, turn around to come back. Nobody could have been following us. I mean, things were dead quiet up there. We would have heard somebody. We probably would have seen somebody. If anybody would have snuck in the room while we were 2 doors down, they couldn't have gotten out in time. We walked back. The light was on. Switch was up.
Oh,
my
Light
gosh.
switches can't go up and down by themselves.
that's a cat.
It's a cat with extremely long paws.
Yeah, I don't know.
Gosh,
That's weird.
That really is.
And the thing is that the switch is up. It's not like an electrical short or anything.
No, because when a switch is off, there's no circuit whatsoever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I file that under the category of cool. Yeah, that was cool.
It sounds a little like the Twin Lakes Lodge incident, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, did I tell you about this, Jason?
I listened to it.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Which night?
Part 1 or part 2?
I think part 1's where I went off on everything.
Well, part 1's also the time when it happened, too. I think that's the episode.
Chuck yelled like a little girl, and so did I. It was,
Did you see that? Did you see that? Oh, my gosh. I'll never forget it.
The faders on the board actually moved by themselves.
I'll never forget it.
So it was,
it was
creepy.
great.
Yep. And the VCR turned on by itself. That was just weird, man. Weird.
One of the coolest things that I didn't experience, but I would love to experience, I might stay there, the Hotel Savoy in Kansas City, downtown Kansas City, Missouri. There's a guy from Canada who comes and stays in this one room because the first night he stayed there, he comes into town on business, he got a back rub.
Oh, God.
Nobody was there, but he got a back rub.
So he comes back.
Yeah,
He's expecting more than the back rub next time.
He didn't have to leave a tip.
Yeah. Oh, God, Chuck. Chuck. A happy ending, yeah.
Oh, man.
Expecting more than the back rub, yeah. Yeah, I want room 30. Yeah. Oh, man. So what are you going to... Missouri is just one of those out-of-the-way places for a lot of us, especially those of us on the East Coast.
Yeah, we're flyover country.
Yeah. I mean, and I've been to Missouri before. It's a nice country.
Yeah.
It's a good little drive from here. Last time Trent and I were there, we were in Cape Girardeau. That was what,
The
about...
birthplace of Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, we're...
How about that?
What's that, about 8 hours from here, Cape Girardeau?
No. Well,
10?
Yeah, I think it's more like 10.
I don't remember.
I'm thinking.
We were driving a long time.
Yeah.
I listened to a lot of CDs.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to take another short break. We're here with Jason Offutt. Give us a call, 877-SCARE-U2. That's toll-free, 1-877-722-7382, or locally, 336-996-1596. We'll be back after this.
This is World of the Unexplained. That's a great way of bringing it in.
Yeah, bring it in with gusto.
This is World of the Unexplained. We got Jason Offutt. How's that?
That's good.
Author of Haunted Missouri, Show Me State's Guide. I'm sorry, a ghostly guide to the Show Me State's most spirited spots. Man, could I have not done that any worse?
It's okay, man.
The numbers are
Stick with Haunted Missouri from now on.
I am.
Okay.
That's why I stick with that.
All right. Well, 1-877-722-7382.
Where are you at? Call us.
336-996-1596. Give us a call on this last half hour with Jason Offutt. We'll talk about stuff.
That's right. Where are you guys at? Where's our drive-through crowd in Arizona? Come
exactly.
On. Drive-through. You know what I meant. Drive time crowd. Come on.
Drive-through crowd.
Yeah, where's our drive? It's dark here. It's not there yet. So call us.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the UFO crash, Jason. We've talked about it before, but I definitely want to get that covered since this is going to get on the podcasting.
Well, I was really fairly interested when I ran across this because what's the first alleged UFO crash? I threw alleged out there.
Roswell.
Sorry.
Roswell.
In the United States, when you ask somebody that, Roswell, New Mexico. Well, that was in 1947. In 1941, between the towns of Cape Girardeau, home of Rush Limbaugh, and Sikeston, Missouri, there was a crash of an unidentified aircraft out on a rural route, and there was a preacher, a Baptist minister named William Huffman from Cape Girardeau, who was called out at about 9 p.m. on that night, and he went out, and according to his granddaughter, this guy gave a deathbed confession. According to his granddaughter, he walked out but expecting to find an airplane. It was not an airplane that he found, and people he delivered last rites to were not people. They were the diminutive, stereotypical gray types. The place had the fire department, the sheriff's department, and FBI and the military crawling all over it.
Huh.
And that's the first and last official word. I spoke with a woman named Linda Wallace, whose father worked at the Missouri Institute of Aeronautics in Sikeston, Missouri. She wasn't researching UFOs. She was researching her father and his history. And what she found was this UFO crash. She interviewed people in old folks' homes. Sorry, that's probably not PC, but
we don't care.
Homes. And she talked to a couple of people who said that they were there. They saw the craft. They said that it was not an airplane. They said the people on it were not people. And that it really, really intrigued her. It's a first-hand account she got. And so she started looking through documents. She looked through the fire department documents, the state or the county sheriff department's records, and she found that those records, along with the Missouri Institute of Aeronautics records for 1941, were all missing. None of them were there.
Huh.
So she went to the local newspapers, and they were on microfiche, and there were columns of the paper blacked out. She had no idea what was there, but they were blacked out. Something was removed during 1941.
Why don't people know about this?
Yeah, why does Roswell get all the attention?
Why does Roswell get the stardom and this place not?
Probably because of the fact that also in 1947, Kenneth Arnold saw craft that he referred to as flying saucers while he was flying in Washington State, and that's when the whole flying saucer craze started. This thing was probably swept under the rug so far that nobody really knew about it, and it took something, like Kenneth Arnold, a pilot, somebody respected like that, coming public with it immediately, that brought the public's attention to it, and then in July of 1947, the Roswell incident happened, and everybody forgot this.
Now, the area that this crash happened in, is it accessible to the public?
Yes, where it happened was there were dirt and gravel roads in that area. It was a rural area between those two towns. So yeah, it's still accessible. I talked with a guy who was going out there with metal detection equipment, and I haven't talked with him since he's been out there, so I don't know if he found anything or not.
Huh. I'm just curious. With Roswell, you've got the whole thing where it's you can't. You basically can't go out there.
Yeah, it's kind of shut
They've
down.
got it. Chuck, you've been out there, haven't you? Didn't you get ran off?
Where exactly?
In Roswell. Didn't you go up to the fence or something?
We actually bought a map of it so that we wouldn't go over the borders.
Oh, okay.
Where pretty much they can confiscate all your personal property,
including your pipe.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I knew you were going to go there.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. So what happened?
Well, not much. I mean, there were a whole lot of tourists there that we were pretty much filing behind on these roads that we're pretty much taking the same route we did. We snapped a few photos. You can barely see it from where they've got it cordoned off now.
Huh.
But you can see the lake.
So are there like little like SUVs, black SUVs ready to?
There supposedly are. I think they're black Jeep Cherokees, or at least they were in the late '90s when we were out there. Apparently, there are helicopters and surveillance, all sorts of surveillance.
Lord.
Like tiny little RF microphones out there in the.
I thought this
the
all went
desert.
back to like Andrews Air Force Base or something, though. I don't know. Well, anyway, regardless, so this place though here in Missouri, where this happened first, you can actually go and visit it.
Right, you can go out there and visit it. Yeah, because it has been, it's not that well known. Probably it's the government, if this thing did happen, has had plenty of time to remove all evidence whatsoever. But since not too many people are talking about it, I mean, there's really no reason to guard it. That would make people talk about it even more.
That's true. That's true. And you heard it here.
So I'm not suggesting you go out there and investigate. Wink, wink.
Yeah. Well, Jason, I'm going to let you lead us to the next story in your book. Tell us something we may have skipped over here that you wanted to talk about.
Well, one of the a couple of the points I mentioned earlier that it is a book that includes a lot of Missouri history. Your caller asked about that. Some of the history that I haven't talked about has to do with Jesse James.
Okay.
Jesse James figures in a couple of different chapters. One, I mentioned Mark Twain Cave. Jesse James signed his name on one of the cave walls. People since the 1820s have been signing their names on the cave walls. Not since the 1970s, because you can get arrested for that now, but in one room called the Jesse James room, his name is written in pencil on the wall and has been subject to handwriting analysis, and yes, that is his signature.
Wow.
So that doesn't have to do with the ghost story, but it's kind of neat anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The Jesse James farm in Kearney, Missouri, I just did a book signing there a couple of weeks ago. It's haunted by, according to the people who've been there, Jesse, Frank, and Jesse and Frank's mom, Zerelda. The most interesting story from the Jesse James farm was Zerelda's rocker moving back and forth. One of the tour guides made a disparaging mark about Zerelda, and the handheld earpiece of the old phone hanging above the rocking chair flew across the room at her. Of course, It stopped when it ran out of cord, but it flew across the room at her.
Huh.
And there's Frank James. He stayed in the 1859 Marshall's Home and Jail Museum in Independence. He was arrested for his crimes. Spent about 6 months there before he's pardoned by the governor. But there's the cell he stayed in still has the bed and furniture that he slept on while he was there. They have put things in that room such as a Christmas tree for Christmas, and the next day it's sitting out in the hallway.
That's nice.
Things of that. The bed is unmade in the morning, like somebody had been sleeping there. So there are more interesting historical aspects to the book than I've really gotten to yet.
Well, we're definitely going to have you back on to discuss your newer book when that comes out. You're thinking maybe next summer on that, Jason?
That would be excellent.
Yeah. So next summer is what we're shooting for right now.
Well, I still intend to be alive next summer.
No.
So let's work on that.
What I was saying was
alive.
next summer was the date that you're thinking that it's going to happen.
Right, you're right. The next book hopefully will be printed next summer and released next fall.
Okay,
Very
good.
cool.
Just in time
That's the big hope.
for Halloween.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, Jason, thank you so much for coming back on the show again. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Always is a pleasure.
Well, again, I've had fun tonight, as I have every time, and thank you guys very much for the opportunity to be on your show.
Oh, definitely, man. You're always a blast for us here.
Yeah,
we always have a
certainly.
good time. So we'll have you back soon.
Fantastic.
All right, thanks so much.
Hey, have a good evening.
Thanks,
All
you
right.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Jason Offutt, the book, Haunted Missouri. I'm not going to go with the subtitle of it. I'm just going to call it Haunted Missouri.
Okay, Haunted Missouri. Guys, definitely
Easy
check it
reference.
out. I mean, it's a pleasure to read, and I really like the angle that he's going with it, too, and the fact that I didn't mention it when we were talking to him, but I mean, basically the fact that every one of these places that he's visited, you can get to. I mean, it's got a website, it's got opening and closing times, all kind of information, like if you're just traveling through Missouri, let's stop here, at Bone Hill, or I don't know, Marshall's, I'm sorry. I'm really.
It's okay.
Just stumble over my words, but the one he was Fort Osage. Yes, we didn't even talk about that one. That was a good one.
You could have jumped in any time, man.
We could have Wilson's Creek National Battlefield, all this stuff. It's a great read. It's just a pleasure to read. It's a lot of fun, and it kind of it's historical too. I mean, you learn something from it, as well as it being entertaining. And you never know. You go to those places, and you yourself might be entertained in a paranormal sort of way.
That's true. That's true. Paranormal.
Yeah, the thunderstorms coming up, so it's pretty appropriate to speak of those. Yeah, I mean, we've had this nice creepy weather. It's very atmospheric. We're talking about good ghost stories. Scott, what are you doing over there?
I'm signing into this web page. Anyway, speaking of good ghost stories, though, it's just I guess I want to relive those days, and it's
what do you mean?
The days around the campfire where
He wants to go back to his youth.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Maybe.
Don't we all? But
Nah, my
That's why we go to amusement parks.
is that why?
I think.
I don't like
know.
amusement
Yeah,
parks. I never
really-
have.
I really
haven't been in
detest
over
them.
10 years.
I hate the flashy
Chuck doesn't want to
colors.
go
and
back to his
the only
childhood.
thing I ever went to the amusement park was the arcades. And shoot, I play video games at home. You know
those
what I mean?
are great, man. Well, actually, I wouldn't mind going back out to an arcade. even
Yeah,
these
stand-up
days, man.
arcade games. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Those were great. That was great fun. It has nothing to do with ghosts or anything, but might get back on topic. But yes, the days of the campfire and a good ghost story where only the power of the words and the descriptive element of the story invokes in your imagination, the true terror of it. You know what I mean? And that's where the fear is. That's where the chills and thrills are. It's in your head mainly. I mean, amplified by the words and the stories.
Yeah. I mean, it was just fun. You remember? You remember that party we had at Michael Miller's house years ago? We were all like, all of I don't know, 12. Was that about right? 12?
Yeah, I believe so.
No, we were probably. Yeah, no, I guess I was about right. We were about 12.
No, yeah, because I mean, we
12
all...
or 13, and we all went out and we Michael had this huge. His mother had this huge place that had this downstairs like basement that was that carpeted out and finished and everything, and so we all slept on the floor in there. And there was like 10 or 11 of us. Man, there was a bunch of us, right?
Oh yeah.
And he had this big like barbecue pit outside that we cooked in, and that was fun. So we ate the food, and then as night grew nearer and it got dark, we just playing around doing the stupid things boys do, like the little Bloody Mary trick in the mirror in the bathroom. I think everybody's done that at least once in their life. Chuck's looking at me like he has no idea what I'm talking about.
I don't think I'm familiar with that one, man.
Oh,
You've
really?
got to be kidding
No.
me.
Wow. Oh, Scott, you brought it up.
Okay, you go into the bathroom, you turn all the lights out, or the lights are out, and I think you say Bloody Mary 3 times or something, and turn around. Then you look in the mirror, and she's supposed to be there.
Okay.
You've heard this before, right? Or variation there.
Mary, Queen of Scots? Is that who it is? Or
Yeah.
some woman named Mary
That's
who's
the
all
idea.
bloody.
Biggie Smalls, Biggie Smalls, Biggie Smalls.
I was going to go somewhere else.
Well, I wonder if that does work. We'll have to try it.
I was going to go somewhere else with that. I was like, no, you're not going to get an alcoholic drink.
It's just going to be floating in the ether in the mirror. No, but I mean,
cocktail time.
But those were fun times,
Yeah, they were. And then after that, I remember, we did this whole stupid things that we do. I think we might have watched a couple horror movies or something.
Right.
And then the next thing we're all running outside, sneaking out. There's nothing to sneak out to. I mean,
it's just like
we're not even in the suburbs. I mean, it's
Right.
it's like country suburbs. So those of you that didn't grow up out here, you might not know what we're talking about. Maybe the Missouri folk will, I'm sure, but
possibly where the country is surrounding it.
Yeah, the country surrounds. There's houses there, but it's basically out in the country.
Right.
So we're walking around. He lived at the end of a cul-de-sac, and we walk around outside, and we had all these weapons that we took with us. I remember.
I remember
that.
that.
Defend ourselves.
Did
from
I bring
the
throwing
supernatural.
stars?
I don't know. I remember someone had a hatchet though.
I think Michael Miller had the hatchet.
It may have been
because he took like an old lighter and put it on the steps, and they hit it with a hatchet, and it blew up a little bit.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, so we weren't exactly the smartest kids.
No.
This sounds extremely dangerous.
It totally was, but it was different back then. And it was fun, and we went out, and then one or two people swear that they see something, and then the whole passel runs.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what's that?
Yeah, they all run back inside, and exactly.
Someone knocks over the lamp, and then the mom, Michael's mom, comes running down there all yelling, and we're trying to pretend like we're all asleep.
Everybody's asleep,
but everybody's sitting there too hyped up and giddy, and our cover's blown. But
But those were the days, man.
Yeah, they were.
And we're going to bring that back. We're going to have a Woe2 campfire meeting. I don't know.
Are we?
Yeah, we are. We're gonna broadcast from a campfire. What do you think?
That seems
about
like
that?
a great idea.
I
mean,
have
it seems
no
like
idea
a
how
capital.
we're going to need a generator or something.
A capital idea. No,
Yeah.
just get power cords and
run them out. Yeah,
I've got an inverter we might be able to power some of this stuff off of.
all of it.
Probably a PC and the board, yeah.
And we'll just sit there and
we're going to talk about this later because I like this idea. We can be around a campfire, and and we could be there out in
investigations
the
are
middle
fun.
of the woods.
The woods, just collectively.
In
The
front
woods.
of the woods. But no, we have been toying with the idea of going to Sleepy Hollow this year for Halloween. It's on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
It's a good little night? What was it? The 10-hour drive.
Yeah, basically a 10-hour drive.
All right, so 10-hour drive. I mean, stay up there for a couple days. Get Chuck out of school. He needs to. He's been going for 20 years, and we'll he graduates and still goes there. Weirdo. So, but I mean, it'd just be kind of cool, to go to Sleepy Hollow, interview the people in the town, make a big to do about it, and broadcast live on Halloween night. Yeah,
that would be something else if we can pull that together.
Yeah, maybe meet the Headless Horseman, ask him how it's going. He couldn't talk to us because he doesn't have a head.
I think he can talk through his.
I mean, he could motion and gesture, and we could describe the gestures we're seeing.
They didn't have that gesture in the Revolutionary War.
It was probably something like this.
Yeah,
or
some other kind of hand gesture. We
yeah.
don't understand what he's doing. It's like, I don't get it, man. He's twitching his left index finger in a counterclockwise motion. I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, what's going on?
What does he mean by that?
Make sure we knock Scott down so we can run away.
Oh, y'all knock me down so you can run. That's great. That's great. Friends.
But yeah, we've had some pretty interesting stories. I mean, Scott and I have over the years. I mean, we have gone and had some legitimately weird things happen.
Yeah, like that light at
Old Salem, right?
That's still creepy. Did I ever tell you about that, Chuck? D, did you? No.
Well, I guess.
We
I
can
brought
tell
it
it.
up. So, well,
we've got time. We can tell. We got 5 minutes.
yeah. Well, anyway, we're down in Old Salem, just kind of mooking around and
Mooking around.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but I mean, we're walking around and
It's around midnight.
Yeah, looking at stuff, and Old Salem is a
We're there because Salem is a girls' school, man. Yeah, midnight.
Yeah.
Anyway, everybody
That might
was
have had
passed
something to do
out.
with it,
I don't
but
even know if this was during a school.
They were
I
probably
don't
all in the
think
dorm
so.
with curfew anyway, man.
Yeah, they probably were, but there was no one out there.
And anyway, Old Salem is a very, very cool historical part of Winston-Salem. It's part of the old Moravian village of Salem, in which half of which is now Winston-Salem.
Yeah, but they have like cobblestone streets.
Right,
So they still have like
streets.
a blacksmith.
They actually have people,
house, and,
performing the old arts.
On a daily basis for visitors and stuff.
We didn't go there during the day. We went at night. Where basically the streets are deserted.
Check out the nightlife. No.
The streets are deserted, and there's nothing there but these old vintage houses that have been kept in really good condition. The
and people do live in
streets,
some of them.
and yes, people do live.
Not
in the streets.
all of them. Some of them are just the business fronts
Right.
for like the blacksmith shop or the bakery, the candlestick maker, whatever.
Right.
Well, anyway,
the candler, I think.
I don't know.
I wonder if that's Chandler. Maybe that's
Okay,
what a candle maker.
It doesn't matter.
But anyway, so we're walking around just kind of looking at things, and the people that do live in these houses are required by whatever contract they write not to make a big to do in the windows. They
can only have like one candle.
Right, they got to keep it down. But anyway, what we saw up in the second story window.
Or third story. I don't know. It was the top story.
I think it was the third
really
story,
high up,
actually. It was
because
way,
we couldn't see up into it.
Right,
We tried.
It was way up there. And I believe it was a business, actually, that
no one lived in, yeah.
No one was even there at the time. And we saw...
It's flickering like from a candle.
More like a lantern, I thought. It was a
a
pretty
lantern or
bright
a
light.
candle. But
and
it was flickered.
And it just sat there flickering, and there was nobody in the building. You didn't
see any shadows or anything.
Nobody moving around in there looking at stuff. It was just a flickering lantern light.
It was some creepy stuff.
Yeah, it was. It kind of gave us both chills. And
we walked all around this building and tried to examine it from all different angles to see if we could.
Did we check the door?
I don't think we did.
I don't think
that
so.
would have been a crime. but I don't think that we did that anyway. I think we wouldn't have, even if we hadn't worried about the crime, because I ain't going up there.
Who's going on the third
Go on,
story?
man. Why don't you yell down at me? Let me know what's
Oh
going
yeah,
on.
there's nothing here. Just a decapitated Moravian.
Look behind you, man. I'm out.
I'm going to leap out this window.
Yeah.
To escape. But I mean, it was really, really something else, and to this day we can't really explain it. And it's
unexplained.
It's a world of unexplained.
I don't know, maybe somebody knocked over a candlestick, man.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. They don't use real candles in there. They use
they're
those,
electric.
The ones that plug in, because obviously a fire hazard, if you've got, drapes and the
Right.
candles, they don't want
and
to
a lot of
burn down
antique
the
stuff.
structures.
Nobody
Yeah.
uses like real candles or real lanterns in there.
They still make real candles there, but they don't put them in the window.
Yeah.
It was on a timer, but it's sitting on the. It looked like it was like the way the light shined.
It looked like it was
on
on
the
the
floor or something, or
Yeah, it was
sitting
just
down.
sitting
but it was
low
definitely
down.
that wasn't one of those candle lights. That was a real deal, man. That was
Yeah.
an actual flame of some kind.
Maybe it was a short in that light.
No, come on, give me a break here.
Yeah, I mean,
Just trying to be skeptical here, man.
Shorten the lantern. Shorten the
Yeah,
lantern.
those electric lanterns of the 19th century. They're a big hit. But I don't know. That's a really good story, and I myself have a couple other ones that Scott wasn't involved in. I think Scott may have a couple that I wasn't involved in.
No, of course not.
We'll get to him some other time, I guess.
Yeah.
But that would be
I
fun.
don't know about all
but
that.
definitely buy Jason Offutt's book. It's a great read, guys.
It is a great read. And next week we have Ron Paul Hunter is going to be our guest next week.
Like a repeat guest, because we didn't get
Yeah, because we missed the Anyway, we lost it.
Tech disc.
So we want to make sure for the people that listen to us via podcast that don't listen live that they get a chance to hear what he's got to say too. It's going to be an interesting show. We'll have him back on, and then the following week is going to be a surprise.
That's cool. We like this.
As you can see, I haven't really booked out very far. So,
well,
but I mean,
you're
I've got
busy.
people lined up. I just have to call and give them a solid date.
Yeah.
And so, but we will. I'm going to start booking up again, and
after we get these podcasts caught up, which we're pretty much
they're caught
now.
up now, pretty much. They're a week behind, but
right.
Anyway, this is Jay Scott. You're only JD DJ on the OmniSound Radio 1 network, saying boo and good night.
This is Trent Lackey coming to you from Kernersville, North Carolina, a small town where we talk about scary things.
Mr. Chuck Browder.
We out.